It's a good problem to have. We don't not have enough chairs. Dumb problem? Good problem. But anyway, so I just, as I get started, I just want to first of all thank you, your guests, for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. Obviously, and I don't know why someone told you to come down here. I'll be honest with you, I came down here for my first time 7 years ago. I had a guy who had been following up with me for a year and a half trying to get me to come down to this meeting. And I'm from Utah, so anytime your friend invites you to a meeting, it's usually at a hotel and they're selling juice. Gus was joking about it up front, right? Or earlier, but I mean, that's really what I thought. I mean, that's what happens in Utah, yes or no? Yep. And so I was making good money. I was working for Karen. Karen can tell you I was making good money. I loved what I did. I was not the person that hated my job in the morning, but they cut my pay. I was the person where I was starting to make too much money at a company, and I was young, so they thought, well, we can get more profit, take it from the young guy, right or wrong? And so I was frustrated at that point. I still loved what I did, but I was frustrated. And I had this guy named Brandon Neal who had been following up with me for a year and a half. Finally, I show up to a meeting like you're sitting in tonight. And I was smart enough at that time to bring my wife, because I'd actually seen the business a year and a half prior, but I walked out. At that time, I was 19 years old. I walked out, didn't pay attention. I came back a year and a half later. I was smart enough to bring my wife, who at the time was my girlfriend, and she's elbowing me the whole time, going, why the heck aren't you doing this? And I go, do you know how hard I'm going to have to work to make that kind of money? And she goes, so? What does that have to do with anything, right? And so we got started working one night a week our first year, and we worked one night a week. I was 20, just turned 21 years old. I was scared to death. I was a boxer for 7 years. I did not have good people skills. I wasn't excited to be in a business where I had to be in front of people. It was not me. But what was for me was winning for my family. And so I was willing to get uncomfortable. And we made $15 grand our first year working one night a week part-time. I was jacked up. That's what most people in the city right now are working in a full-time job making $10 an hour. They're bringing home 15 grand, right or wrong? And so after our first year, I quit my job. Kelsey quit her job. We moved. I grew up in St. George, Utah, which is a small town in southern Utah. Moved up to Boise, Idaho, and our business exploded. We opened up 7 offices in 3.5 years. We went from making nothing to 40 to 50 grand a month 3 years later, and it changed my life. I never would have thought it would have happened that fast, to be honest with you. I was scared to death, just hoping one person would say yes to me. But it changed my life. So I hope you'll listen tonight, because we have not only, in my opinion, there's 4,000 offices like this across the United States. You're sitting in one of the fastest growing offices in the entire company out of 4,000 offices. But tonight we have not only one of my great friends, but probably the biggest reason we went from 0 to 40 grand a month in income in 3 years is because of the gentleman you're going to hear speak tonight just after me. So I'm super excited. You guys get to hear from him, because he changed my life. And so I know that he can have the same impact on you if you will listen. And that's why I wanted to make sure, guests, you have some seats and you're ready to listen, because I promise to do the same thing for you if you listen. Okay? Fair enough? So I'm going to fly through my part. But you look at what's happening in our country today, and see, when I came down here, I couldn't get excited about financial services. I was 21 years old. The 21-year-old kid in his right mind does not get excited about financial services. Yes or no? Yeah. But you know what I was fired up about? That if I didn't retire my mom, who was going to? Nobody. My mom's 54 years old. You know what her Social Security statement says right now? $774 a month. Now, excuse my French, but how in the hell is my mom going to retire on 74? She's never going to do it. So if I don't retire my mom, who's going to? My mom had a bachelor's degree. She did everything she was supposed to do. She did everything they told her to do. But still, you look at this. This was in the money section of the USA Today, April 23rd of last year. It said, Social Security financial lifespan shortened 3 years. Social Security benefits will now run out in 2033, said its trustees in an annual report released today. And raise your hand if you're 45 years of age or younger. They just passed in the Senate right now that if you're 45 years of age or younger, you have to wait until you're 69 years old to receive Social Security. It just passed. 69 years old. And then you look at this. Retirement bottom line. Many are going to have to work until age 70. Will the old 30-something gang still be showing up to work at 70-something? See, this is a fact what's happening to our generation, and because of that, we're in the most entrepreneurial generation to ever enter American society. You guys all understand that? Yeah. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to our country. See, some people look at it and go, oh my gosh. See, I look at it and go, everything's screwed up, which means there's a lot of opportunity. See, there's a few people that when they saw issues in America, they saw opportunity. These people, we call them like Rockefellers in the industrial age, yes or no? Yeah. Or we call them like Henry Ford. Or we call them Bill Gates, who started his business during a recession. Or Mark Zuckerberg, who started his during a recession. Y'all understand that? And most of the big businesses that changed America were started during a recession or a depression. So what's happening right now, so people say, why is that happen? Well, because when people have problems and you have a solution, what happens to you? You get wealthy because people are willing to pay for a solution. If your car breaks down, you have to pay someone to fix it, right or wrong? So if your financial life breaks down, guess what? Someone's going to have to fix it. Because obviously you didn't know how to fix it or it wouldn't have broke down, right or wrong? Right. And I know everybody in here is good financially, but everybody out there is screwed up, right or wrong? Right. So look at this. There's 4 ways in America to earn income. The first way is to have be an employee. Can y'all say employee? Employee. Now if you're an employee, who's in control? Employer. The employer, your boss. Double S-O-B spelled backwards, right? Your boss is in control. Now what is your boss in control of? Everything. They're in control of your whole life. They're in control of what you drive, where you live, where your kids go to school, what kind of vacations you take or don't take. And people go, no, they're not. Well, they are based on how much money they pay you. If you work at Wendy's flipping burgers, you ain't living in Red Rock Country Club. That's right. Unless your parents own the Wendy's. Right. Right or wrong? Right. So if you're an employee, your boss is in control of everything. And so there's nothing wrong with having a job. But in my opinion, there is something wrong with not having control over your future, right? So let's say you don't want to be an employee, you become self-employed. Now you own a job. So now you're a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, a hairstylist, a real estate agent, or salesperson. Which I would much rather be self-employed than an employee, because if you're good at what you do, you can make a lot of money, right? Like are there some doctors that make some good money? Yeah. Like some plastic surgeons in South Beach? Yeah, right? But there's also some that are broke too, right? Yeah. So why are some rich and some broke? Well, here's why. Because like Karen, she didn't tell you all her brothers are doctors. And the same thing happens with her family. Some are rich and some are broke. Why is this? Because if you're a doctor and you're self-employed, you have 2 options. One is to work a ton, so you usually make a lot of money, but you have no freedom. So all you ever do is work. And these are the guys you usually see divorced a few times. They never see their family. They never see their kids. And these are the people that cause people to say stupid things like money isn't everything, money doesn't buy happiness. Those people look at these guys that have been divorced 2 or 3 times, drink too much. They're usually musicians, so they can never get away from it. Make sense? So these people are self-employed. So the only way for them to make a lot of money is to work a lot. So if they don't work a lot, they have a lot of freedom but no income, which is called unemployed. Right? Some real estate agents felt like that lately, you know? But that's the reality of it, yes or no? So on this side of the equation, you're always trading time for money. So if you grew up in a middle class or lower class family, like I grew up in a lower class family, if you grew up in a middle or lower class family, the fact is you were taught that the only way you can make more money is to trade more time. Well, the most valuable commodity in our lives is time. It's the one thing we can never get back, but it is something we can buy forward. But most of us have never been taught how, because we've all been taught by employees how to go get a job. But there's another way to earn income. That's to be a business owner. So this is where you own a system. For example, raise your hand if you ever walked into Walmart before. So did you guys meet the Waltons? No. Hold on. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that you walked into a business and you didn't meet the person who started it? How did you walk in somewhere, buy something, they made money, but you didn't meet them? They weren't there. How were they working, or how were they not working but still making money? Because they own it. Because it's America. It's a beautiful thing, right? It's because they own a business. It's because Sam Walton, a lot of years ago, started a business, hired and trained people to run that business regardless of whether or not he showed up, and then eventually he died, and his kids today took over the business, and his kids today combined are the richest people on earth. They're worth $100 billion. So he's still making money even after he died. If you have a job, you stop making money as soon as you clocked out. So think about Steve Wynn, for example. Steve Wynn, does he show up to the Wynn every morning and open the front doors? No. And goes, hey, would you like a drink? Can I check you into your room? You would laugh at Steve Wynn if he offered to get you a drink. You go, is he serious right now? Why doesn't he do that? Because he's hired and trained people, so he owns a system. He doesn't do it himself. Now, did he do it himself at one point? Yes. Anybody knows anything about Steve Wynn knows he started from the bottom, right or wrong. And now he runs and owns a system. But then there's another way to make money as to be an investor, where your money makes you money regardless of whether or not you show up. So let me ask you a question, and this is an honest question. Out of all four of these ways to earn income, which two would you choose, your left side or your right side?
Right side.
Everybody says right side. Why? Because over here you have freedom and you can still earn an income, right?
Right. Yep.
So my question is, why is 95% of America over here? Did you guys know 95%, in fact, probably 99% of this room is over here? You want to know why? Because, finish my sentence for me. Go to school, get good grades, get an education, get a good job. See, you guys were taught the same thing I was taught. Nowhere in that does that say go to school, get good grades, get an education so you can learn how to run a business one day. In fact, if you go to school and you get a business degree, they don't teach you how to start a business. They teach you how to run somebody else's business. People say, why is that? Because, hello, the person teaching you is an employee. The owner doesn't show up. Is that crazy or what? So how do we teach people? So my question is, look, if we can teach you how to go from here to own a business, eventually an investor, making a six-figure income, regardless of whether or not you show up, would you do what it takes? Everybody says, yeah, but that's like saying January 1, I'm going to go get in shape. February 1, the gym's empty, right or wrong? Easier said than done, all right? So, I'm going to show you how we get paid. Now, we teach people to start part-time with our company. Why? Because most of you don't know anything about this business, just like I didn't. I started here at 20. I was just turning 21 years old. You know what I knew about financial services? Nada. I never had owned a house because nobody would give me any credit, right? I didn't need life insurance because I was single. My wife and I were just dating, and I spent every penny I ever made. So I didn't know anything about money. I didn't know how the business worked. So we want people, the founder of our company is a football coach, and he said the way you find good people is you find people that are like firefighters, police officers, teachers. They're good people. Did a firefighter go become a firefighter so he become a millionaire? No. Why did he do it? So because it was a good thing to do. He loved to help people. But have you ever noticed firefighters, police officers, teachers always do something part-time? He said, so that's how you find good people. You teach them to start part-time so they would only do it because it's the right thing to do, not because they want to make a lot of money. So we teach people to start part-time so you can learn it at your own pace and your bills are paid at your job. Make sense?
Yep.
So let's say you started part-time. You got all month and you help 3 clients. Now, it takes about 3 hours to help a client, so 9 hours all month. So raise your hand if you think you get up 3 clients all month. Right? The rest of you that no matter what I ask, you're not going to raise your hand, raise your hand. Right? No, I'm just playing. I know there's got to be a few of you, right? So let's say you go out and help 3 clients all month long, which anybody in this room could do that. And not in all areas, right? Just in 3 areas and 3 in one of the areas, and then 1 in the only area we didn't show was auto and home because it's a referral phone call. You save money on our auto. Anybody know how to make a phone call? Yeah? All right, just making sure. But you help those 3 clients, the company would pay you $2,800 to help those 3 clients. Now, usually we'd ask people, hey, look, if you were going to help 3 clients, and let's say it took you 20 hours all month long, which it doesn't, it'll probably take you 10. If you work 20 hours, what would be a good amount of pay? You know what people mostly say? $200 to $400. So if I told you that we were going to pay you $2,800 instead of $400, if I told you we offered your friend $2,800 for that same time frame, when you said it $400 would be good, if he turned it down, what would you call it?
Idiot.
That's 30 grand a year part-time. So people go, Jeff, how did you make 15 grand your first year working 1 night a week? Well, you can see I didn't do very good. In all reality, I didn't. I did not do that good my first year. In fact, I sucked at Primerica early on. Maybe some of you guys go, just still sound like me, right? But early on, I for sure did, right? But so then what happens, if you start making $2,800 a month consistently part-time, is it going to be very hard to find 2 or 3 people that want to do the same thing? And people go, wait a minute, so you're trying to recruit me? And I go, hello, what did your boss do to you? See, most people don't understand. When you go get a job, you turn in a resume and you're in the begging position. See, most people aren't understanding that you've always been on the wrong side of the desk. What happens is you print your name on this fancy sheet of paper, you put your one and only suit on, and you walk in and say words you never say. You have your friend give you a ride to go get this job, you go get the job. You have the guy on the other side interviewing you, right? He goes, so tell me why I should hire you for the job. And you start telling them words you never say. Oh, I'm just so great. I do everything right. All this kind of stuff. And he says, so what are your flaws?